Hey Sean, how are you?
Yeah, really, really good, thanks. Ben did some amazing work on the handyman deck. So
Yeah,
this
we are. That's yeah. I
is,
wasn't sure if you were gonna remember who I was based on that,
oh no,
or
that's
even
it brought it to life. It was we were struggling
I
with it till then.
I actually noticed at the end of Dangerous Animals that Grant and Christian got a thank you, which he didn't realize.
Oh, okay. I saw him at
He
the
was
after
chuffed.
party at,
Yeah.
at Cannes, but yeah, because I think Handyman, there was another draft that was meant to be delivered, and then he kind of, gave me some space because so it's like he's really Grant was really accommodating, and yeah, I've known him for such a long time that it was yeah, it was fun that he was there, and I got to meet Phil Hunt as well, who I hadn't met before.
Did you get to see his band play? Did that happen?
I didn't know, but
Uh,
he's such a kind of punk rocker, isn't he? Through and through.
I'm gonna jump in now because I've got limited time and I need to get some content created here.
Sorry.
Sorry. Mate, it's great to be chatting, and this movie is all kinds of awesome. Congrats on making possibly one of the best horror films of the year.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
Got to say too, that opener, like if anyone that knows your work knows that they're in good hands when you're directing, but your opener really reassures people that don't know your work that they're kind of in the hands of a madman. So I love that too.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, I think that first 5 minutes of a film is kind of where you set the contract with the audience and say this is the ride you're in for, and then try and stick to that tone from there on in.
Yeah, it's like you said, I've got you now. You're fucked.
Yeah,
So.
yeah.
What struck you about the script the most? Like, what was it that made you want to do it?
Well, first of all, it was just that combination of serial killer film and shark film. I hadn't seen that before, and kind of the cynical marketing side of me was like, wow, that's like two really popular subgenres of horror, and if you can kind of get both of those audiences, and the shark audience is really loyal, and that holds up the serial killer audience, and they make sort of less serial killer films. So I thought, and that's kind of my kind of pet subject. So I thought it provided a really kind of strong safety net to explore a serial killer, but just the concept was very original. Could have been written on a napkin and sold in the 90s or something. That's kind of what it that's kind of what it felt like. But also the fact that this was the first shark film where the shark's not the baddie, man's the baddie, and so I felt like Nick Leppard had just really cracked the code, and because ever since Jaws, basically every shark film almost follows the same formula, and it did a great disservice to the shark masterpiece though it is. So it just felt really fresh and fun.
Yeah, some of those close-ups of the sharks really express that they're not the villain. Like, there's an innocence when you go right into the eye of the shark as well. I
Yeah,
find that
yeah,
quite interesting.
yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's like there's less than 10 deadly shark attacks per year. They're always kind of, an accident. They confuse us for seals. And I just wanted to, paint sharks in their true majestic light and give them scars the same way that humans kind of have scars. And because you just never see that. I mean, I mean, that's the thing. I think most shark films these days get kind of CGI happy because they can, but we try to kind of really learn the lesson of Jaws and just really focus on the minimalism of the fin. But it's a serial killer film first and foremost. But there's shark carnage in there, but it's always at the manipulation of man. Like there's no sharks just indiscriminately hunting
Yeah.
humans, and I don't think I've seen that before in a shark film.
Yeah, no, like Ben and I were chatting about it afterwards. Like, we were blown away by how original this felt. And yet there's a lot of influences in there, but it still felt completely new and fresh.
Yeah. I mean, I think, it's crazy not to kind of learn the lessons of Jaws, and but there's also, there's kind of Silence of the Lambs in there. That's like, in a way, it's kind of Wolf Creek
Yep.
on water as well. And I think Greg did. I mean, Greg kind of was the first one to kind of burst through the wall, and it's kind of hard to get. As much as it's an incredible Australian genre filmmakers, for a while there, it felt like it was almost a dirty word in the local kind of industry, and so I feel like I feel like it's got a lot in common with Wolf Creek and that that kind of unhinged kind of charisma, and it's how the spider catches the fly.
Yes.
But also very influenced by my love of 80s and 90s action cinema like Die Hard and Speed, and wanting it to feel kind of quite kinetic. Like I'm
Hmm.
not really a slow burn kind of horror director. I'm more sort of attacking. So in a way, it's kind of, it's kind of horror action.
Yeah, and you're on a boat, so it's very under siege.
Yeah, yeah, Under Siege. That's
Yeah.
another one.
You love strapping people into chairs too. I love that about your work.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think when it's a contained kind of horror, you just gotta, I don't know, there's not too many places to go. So it's sort of trying to, trying to kind of make the most of that and emphasize the fact that, well, you're stuck here. And yeah, the chair in Dangerous Animals is really, really creepy. It's sort of got some weird kind of, it's actually a marlin fishing chair, but it has a weird
Yeah,
kind of gynecological feel or something. It's very creepy.
But it's
it
also like
definitely is.
you feel really excited for Jai Courtney's character because he finally gets to show off his. It's like like you look at Glenn and you look at like we've got this massive collection of stuff, and there's nothing better than someone coming around and wowing at it.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
he actually gets to do that. He's got a captive audience, and he is so enthusiastic and so joyful in his pursuits, and like he just loves that he's got someone to show off for.
Oh, absolutely. He's kind of, keeping physical media alive. But, but yeah, it also made sense for, like serial killers keep their trophies. A lot of them take photos, and this just seemed like the perfect kind of trophy in a way because it's, doesn't leave a kind of digital footprint. It allows him to just keep watching it, which that's what sort of serial killers do. They rely on those trophies to kind of feed them until the urge gets too much and they go and do it again, which is kind of where the dance kind of stems from in a way because that is the most godlike moment. It's like it's almost like a rap party for a snuff film. It's when the actual killer's at its kind of purest, and then he relies on the trophies from kind of that moment on.
Yeah,
And
he's a villain for the ages, I reckon. And I'm wondering, like, did you and Jai have a backstory for him? Like, has he got a history that you know about that we're yet to find out?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a whole backstory. I do that for all of the characters and each department to start with, just so there's a foundation there, and then you bring on all these amazing people and they kind of elevate it. But yeah, I mean, like it all, and there was more that could have been in the film as well. But it's almost like we didn't want to tuck the audience too safely into bed at night as well. But there's kind of hints there that he had there's kind of parental neglect, possibly mummy issues. I'd imagine his mum probably had him as like a 15 or 16-year old and wasn't there to kind of protect him when he had that kind of moment on the beach and suffered that shark attack, which was probably the most frightening but exhilarating moment of his life. And like most serial killers, he's kind of reliving something vicariously through his victims. And even though he's literally killing his victims in a way, he's sort of killing the source of his pain over and over again. So yeah, Jai had to know kind of all of that leading into it, and he's a nuanced enough character actor that at times he could capture the broken child inside the man. But what I was really excited about is he's had so much kind of big screen kind of franchise experience. He absolutely knows the difference between a line, an inward line and a line for the audience. So when he has to say
Mm.
"Welcome aboard," he's like, "Oh, this is for the audience, isn't it?" Or it's like, how romantic. Too bad I'm more of a horror fan. He just knows how to kind of eat those moments up. And we talked about some of our favorite kind of horror performances, like Kathy Bates in Misery and Jack Nicholson in The Shining and Christian Bale in American Psycho, and how you can have there's a certain theatricality and how you can kind of really kind of take center stage as a villain in a horror film, but it still has to be underpinned with a genuine psychology. Otherwise, it's just a caricature.
Yep,
how
completely
much
understand that.
how
Go
many
on,
how
Ben.
much hoops did you have to jump through to get him to perform Baby Shark, or was that like was
No,
he
I
right in
mean,
there for
yeah,
that?
I mean, he loved all that. I mean, I think you couldn't get him to perform Baby Shark now because his daughter was listening to Baby Shark constantly at the time. I was on to he would go home from work and have to do Baby Shark, and now he's like, I never want to hear Baby Shark again.
I apologize for Ben. That's the greatest spoiler I've ever heard. One thing, like, just tell me if I'm wrong. There's a moment right at the start where Jai's at the wheel and there's a really close up of him. It looks to me like he's got one eye on the horizon and one eye on the audience. Is that intentional, or am I reading into that?
I don't know. You probably have to ask Jai. Is that when he's sort of driving to the real thing? And
Yeah. It just looks to me almost like I wondered if you sort of augmented it a bit, so one eye was slightly that way and one was that way, because it looked like he had his eye on the audience to say you're in for a good ride, but he's also looking ahead to what he's
Well,
about to do.
yeah, I mean, he is basically saying it's like I am the real thing, you know what,
Yeah.
yeah, and there's a hint of a smirk on the very last couple of frames that is basically, it's almost a nod to the audience, or just him, and also I think it's like just a part of the arc as well that he's not, the ticking clock is actually in the abduction. Once he's got her there, he's kind of luxuriating in it and enjoying it, and then Zephyr kind of pushes him to the edge, so it becomes more and more unhinged. But that moment early on, he's like, he's having a great time. He's like done all his hard work, and he's just enjoying listening to music with someone in a surfboard trapped in the back of the ute.
The music is so integral to the film too. Like, was there, and when you make a film, it's not open slather. Like, songs cost money, and you have to take that into account before you start. So, how early in the process did those songs come into it, and were planned, throughout the kind of the genesis of the film?
Well, but Baby Shark was always in there, and Credence with Ooby Dooby was always in there. But that was about it. I mean, originally it was set in California, and then we moved it to Australia as a bit of a fish out of water story, and had to kind of rework the character. And then that's when Evie, Stevie Wright's Evie, kind of came into it, which really felt like it was a great nod to, Tucker does, he feels like he would listen to Australian kind of rock, but also, letting your hair hang down, and that how that ties into his very specific MO. And then I always write with kind of, songs in mind. So Crowded House is Mean to Me. She came all the way from America. She had a blind date with Destiny. And then there are certain things in there that kind of shift as it goes on and you test it. So it had more, originally the sex scene was to more of a kind of metal song. It was more kind of, grinding and sexy. And then as you kind of test it, and it's more, I think it's the most commercial film that I've made. So that we needed to kind of feed into that thread in a softer way. And that became Cigarettes after sex. But yeah, Albatross is also in there, which is sort of, like stoner. But so yeah, I mean, I always write with songs in there, and sometimes the songs are unaffordable, or sometimes the artists don't want to, provide a track. But it always follows a kind of a lead where it's hopefully, propulsive, and it's needle drop, but very character driven as well.
Yeah, awesome. I suspect that we could chat with you for hours here, but we've just about clocked up our time. I just always like to ask people we chat with, just what was a movie when you were young that really lit the spark and made you want to become a filmmaker?
I mean, there's so many, because my father was a film critic, so I was just inundated with films. I mean, King Kong kind of very, very early on, like the original. I remember just feeling so sorry for Kong, and Die Hard felt like it went by in about 20 minutes, and I was like, that is just an incredible roller coaster. But I mean, it's probably a bit of a cliched answer, but Pulp Fiction was the first film that I actually felt like I read without, it was and without even trying to. I think because it played with the form so much, and normally you would cut to the chase, but instead this did the opposite, and you'd go up in the elevator with with Samuel L. Jackson, John Travolta kind of chatting, and the novelistic structure, and it just made me, and it felt like everything old was new again, and it made me think, wow, you can just kind of actually take these kind of passions, and you can kind of weave them in according to your own personality. So that was kind of the light bulb film.
Amazing. Well, thanks so much for your time. We'd love to chat with you again sometime, even just generally about movies and whatnot. So the invitation is open, but thanks. We love this film. It's one of the best horror films of the year.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that. And yeah, well, let's chat again. It's my favorite thing to do, talking about.
I actually heard you on the film Movies That Made Us podcast.
Yeah,
I gave that a listen, and then you dropped this Sunset reference with Bruce Willis, and I was like, who's talking about this? This is like a great film that no one ever talks about, and you just casually dropped it in that conversation, and I was like, amazing.
Oh, thanks. Yeah, it's all kind of a soup, isn't it? It's just like made up of everything.
Oh my God, I can't believe I let you talk me into this.
It's gonna be a great experience.
Yeah.
All right. All right, crew. There's still one thing we need to take care of. Promise you it'll help. Close your eyes. Take a big, deep inhale. And out. And in. And out. Welcome aboard. I see you, like, come alive on that board. It's spiritual. I feel the same about what I do. It's my true calling.
What is this? Where are we? We're on his boat. Whose boat? I don't think you want to know.
You're a fighter. I love fighters. Makes for a better show. Right, places, please. And action. Tell me that ain't the greatest show on earth. Every fisherman loves a good fight. The thing the fish doesn't realize is that once that hook sets, no matter how hard she runs,
Help! I need help.
she's already in the boat. Behind you! Now you and me, we fend for ourselves. We're sharks.
I'm nothing like you.
Oh, come on, don't be like that. This is your time to shine.